Wow. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you all for braving the cold and for being here. I am not a serious person, like at all. So I find myself very conflicted right now because honestly, and I think you'll probably, this will crescendo as I start talking, which I'm warning you about, I am really serious about this. So today, to me, is a hugely important conversation. And please never mind the fact that there's a stage and there are theater seating because we wanted to have this in someone's living room, but then we realized we all had about 10 people we wanted to invite, so that was 100. And we got 115 confirmations, and so people will probably be trickling in. But this is really meant to be an intimate, completely open and honest, warts and all, straight up conversation about something that is really important. And I'm going to take the liberty of borrowing a theme from Barack Obama yesterday, because seriously, it kind of struck me. It really, in a few words, summed up kind of my feeling about this, which has been hard to articulate until you actually start talking, and then you start rambling. Then people get lost. No. And that is, honest to God, it is our time. Fucking A. Right? Seriously. What is going on? Okay, so I have to, before just giving this a bit of a structure for today and giving some really important thanks, I do want to take a few minutes and just tell the story in the spirit of today, which is very much about sort of storytelling, warts and all. The story of how today came to be and what today's about and your role in it. Because right now, if you have any notions that you've come to sort of participate and sit back and enjoy the day, no. You are integral to an overt operation called getting more women in leadership positions in this business so that we can shape what right now is unpoured concrete of a transformation. Because if we don't, it's just not going to be as interesting. Period. Right? Like, men are awesome. I love men. We all love men in all kinds of ways. But seriously, men are so good at what they're good at, and women are really awesome at what they're good at, and it's incredibly different. And you'll hear today, probably through the stories of some of, our most respected and admired female leaders in the business. You'll hear their stories, and you'll probably see some similar themes. But how this whole thing got started was several months ago. Is Lynn Power here? There she, stand up, girl. Yeah, okay. So several months ago, a very good friend of mine who also is in media, and he said, he's been saying for years, you've got to meet Lynn. You guys are, cut out of the same cloth. And we met and we had nothing in common whatsoever. But we did have a really good conversation. And at the end of it, and I like her. I thought she's awesome. And she's also kind of transformed the New York office of Arnold, which is what she runs. If you saw her, you'd go, she's really a CEO. She looks like she's 9. But at the end of a really nice conversation over drinks, she said something that hit me between the eyes like a rock coming out of a slingshot. And that was, in her very quiet way, if you meet her and you talk to her at drinks, you'll see that she has a very quiet way. She said to me, you know what, you're kind of lucky. I said, really, why? And she said, well, because when you were running agencies, you had more peers. And honest to God, she's right. And I thought to myself, oh my God, that's going backwards. Because I did have a handful of peers, and some of them you'll see today. And, Lynn has a few peers. Victoria Davies is here. She runs CHI. There are other women who are in that sort of 38 to mid-40s range that are leading agencies. But you look around, and first of all, there aren't good stats on this. Believe me, we all looked. You had about 6 planners on this committee, so we know how to dig for shit. Doesn't exist, but we do know, and there are some numbers that we're not supposed to talk about, but they're bad. and they are going backwards. And the UK just finished a study this year, and there's a 26% drop in women general management, women CEOs and managing directors in the UK. They measure everything, right? Because the Brits are smarter. But it's bad. And so I walked home like I was having I thought maybe I was just drunk, but it was just I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders about what do we do about this? So like any good person in advertising, when you have to figure something out, you surround yourself by the people that you know and trust and love and respect. And I gathered some people. We had 2 what we called gatherings, because I think all of us are a little afraid to like act like feminists, because do we really have to do that? Like, do we really have to have this conversation? But this is so not about any level of victimhood or woe is us or hear me I roar. And in a way, it's not really about the spirit of equality, but I mean, it is on a human level. But a group of about 10 or 11 women got together twice, in one in Sharon Napier's lovely apartment and another in one of our offices. And we discussed the issue, and we quickly dispensed with all of the cliched reasons why, because we know why it's harder for women. We bear children, we're perfectionists, we have to do everything right, we have to think things, overthink things, all that stuff. I mean, we all know why it's harder for us. But at the end of the day, if you strip away all of that, as a practical matter, women need role models. Without role models, it's harder. It's hard, period. Because, and I can say from personal experience, having been in a leadership position for about a decade of the 3 decades I've been in this business, I forget that when you're the boss, you run things your way. And it was a feminine-oriented, environment. And now I work for MDC, and I have the privilege of looking over a lot of agencies. We own 50 some odd agencies, and almost all of them are run by men. Almost all of the companies I meet that are new up and coming, interesting organizations that are going to also shape the future of our industry, because we do M&A. I'm not the only one that meets these companies, but I'm one of a handful. They're all men. And literally, it's just, I'm aghast. That has to stop. So that's what today's about. The beginning of changing that. Because, like I said, this industry is in a period of transformation. It's a business I love. It's a business I know most of you love. You can't be in this business unless you're passionate. And we have to step into those roles so that we can balance the so-called power and play a role in shaping what this industry can become. And I have a stupid goal, which is, my mother is 8, she just turned 90. She was going to be here, but she's under the weather. And I was going to say, by the time I'm her age, well, in 20 years, I would say, which is not when I'm going to be 80, but it's close. I feel like I'm 80. But 20 years from now, or less, 50% of the people running what this industry is, and believe me, none of us are going to recognize what it looks like in even 5, 7 to 10 years. 50% should be women. Rock on.